And we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Los's Corner Store and the Prove Me Wrong podcast. I'm your host, Carlos Ojeda. As you can see, I'm very excited. We have a new setup going on. It ain't done, but it's getting there for sure. I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting. I always try to make improvements to the podcast. I always try to upgrade every little thing. So yeah, no more notebook. The notebook is full. We have gone to the Surface. This is sponsored by Microsoft Surface. It's not sponsored by Microsoft Surface. I'm sorry. All right, let's get into the NFL Week 1. This is just a Sunday night. This is gonna come out Monday, just before Monday Night Football. So Jacksonville versus Houston. Jacksonville 21, Houston 37. Houston proved me wrong. I really thought it was going to be a low-scoring game that Jacksonville was going to pull off in the end. Trevor Lawrence struggled. He had hard times reading the defenses. He had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 332 yards. So, he had a good first game for his first game. But he already threw 3 interceptions. You know what I mean? Tyrod Taylor shined in his first start since puncturing his lungs when he was on the Chargers. He had 291 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jacksonville's defense proved to be a liability because they couldn't stop anything. Brandon Cooks had himself a day. Mark Ingram had himself 26 rushes for 85 yards and a touchdown. Los Angeles Chargers versus Washington football team. 20-16, LA wins that. Ryan Fitzpatrick injured his hip, I'm pretty sure in the second quarter, maybe the first. Taylor Heineke took over and will start going forward. Ryan Fitzpatrick has now been placed on IR. He's got at least 3 weeks. It's not looking to be the end of the season just yet for him. Washington's defense looks solid. I mean, they held one of the more high-powered offenses in the league to 20 points. You know, they got Keenan Allen on the outside, Mike Williams on the outside, Austin E. Keller, and you got that bad man, Justin Herbert. He was ice cold. That boy was good. Taylor Heineke went 11 for 15, 122 yards, and a touchdown. So, you know, he looked good. He kind of looked the same as what we thought he was going to look like. I was super excited. He's like that energy guy. He is like Ryan Fitzpatrick, but smaller and more athletic, if that makes sense. Seattle 28, Indianapolis 16. Russell Wilson looked like the best quarterback in the world. Tyler Lockett is always open. Carson Wentz is okay at best. Hopefully he'll get more comfortable. I know he missed some time with an injury for preseason. Seattle's defense looks better. It looks better than what it has in the past. New York Giants 14, Carolina Panthers 19. The Jets tried to come alive in the fourth. They were really starting to catch their rhythm and find themselves driving. Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson got revenge on their former teams, though. Those two boys balled out against the Jets. Zach Wilson had 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So, in terms of the number 1 and 2 quarterbacks picked, Trevor threw more touchdowns, more yards, more interceptions by a lot. So, whatever. Pretty good games for both, in my opinion. Robert Saleh loses coaching debut, but team looks like they have a good foundation. I hate the Jets, but Robert Saleh, I like him. I like Zach Wilson. So, they look like they have a good foundation. They kind of look like what the Dolphins kind of were 3 years ago when Brian Flores got hired. Minnesota 24 versus Cincinnati 27. Jamar Chase was trolling in the preseason because that boy was good. He had 5 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Ooh, gosh, that was thunder. The two Joes, Burrow went 20 for 27, 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mixon, 29 rushes, 127 yards and a touchdown. Those boys balled out. It was a great game that went into overtime, but the Bengals did squeak it out at the end. Both teams had offensive possessions. Bengals able to kick a field goal as time expires. Minnesota's probably going to move on from Kirk Cousins, considering the depth that is to come at the quarterback position in the 2022 draft. This is definitely going to be his last year because he just got outplayed by Joe Burrow, who is far less experienced and coming off an injury. So that is my opinion about Kirk Cousins, unless he somehow finds a way. Like, I think your career is defined by games. And right now, Kirk Cousins got balled up on by children. So I feel like this was like Minnesota's, like, if he could do it, he could do it. If he can't, he can't. And that game was, he can't. Arizona 38 versus Tennessee 13. Kyler Murray absolutely dominated the game. I called it backwards. I thought Tennessee was going to blow them out. It was crazy to hear about, to watch on Twitter. Was going crazy. Kyler went 21 for 32, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. And he also had 5 rushes for 20 yards and a touchdown, 5 total TDs for that boy. Receivers struggled for Tennessee all day. Nobody could catch a rhythm. Cardinals defense played well. Tennessee's receivers did not. Derrick Henry had an off night as well. He had 17 rushes for 58 yards and 0 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins went bananas. He had 6 receptions for 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Christian Kirk went crazy, 5 receptions, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rondale Moore caught himself 4 balls for 68 yards. That's pretty crazy. The Cardinals really came to play. They balled out. Bad news for them is everybody in their division is 1-0. Best division in football. Oh, I'm not even done with that game. I'm so sorry. Chandler Jones had 6 tackles, 5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. Pay this man. Pay this man. Pay him. San Francisco 41 versus Detroit 33. Lions almost made a massive comeback. Trey Lance and Jimmy G are still fighting for playtime. The Niners defense looking a little suspect because Jared Goff and the Lions, almost pulled it off. 33 points on opening day, that's not good for one of the better defenses on paper. Pittsburgh 23, Buffalo 16. This game was crazy. Najee Harris never left the field. He caught a rhythm in the second half. The run game looked better. Big Ben looked old. But he also looked wise. He is Mr. Miyagi this year. He can still kind of do it. I don't think he'll be doing it any much longer after this. But with the way that defense played, if Big Ben can do this all year, Pittsburgh got a chance. Because that defense was bananas. TJ Watt put on 10 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Did you hear that? 10 pounds of muscle in the offseason for already the second best rusher in the league. He had himself a day. This loss was completely on Josh Allen. He just wasn't accurate. He wasn't doing the things you're supposed to do. He was tripping. And this is supposed to be his year to win MVP, according to sports books. He better turn it around. That's all I gotta say. Philadelphia 32 versus Atlanta 6. I called it, y'all boys. I called it. Philadelphia blew out Atlanta. I told y'all. Jalen Hurts was amazing. I told y'all. He just solidified his spot. Gardner Minshew not playing. Joe Flacco's not playing. Jalen Hurts is a dog. 27 for 35. 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Got the blowout win. Devontae Smith, he's too little for the NFL. Got hurt in the preseason. 6 receptions, 71 yards, and a TD. Jalen Reagor caught himself 6 balls for 49 yards and a TD. Atlanta could not establish the run. And Matt Ryan is not good enough anymore to keep them in it if they can't establish the run. And definitely not good enough to pull them out once they have established no run game. Cleveland, 29. Kansas City, 33. This was a great game. Chiefs made a comeback. Their first lead of the game happened with 1:32 left in the fourth. Mahomes showed out. He went 27 for 36, 337 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt combined for 26 touches, 162 yards, and 3 touchdowns with 1 fumble lost by Nick Chubb. Hold on, let me get some agüita. That was water. It was water in the milk gallon. Don't judge me. Baker didn't play that good. Baker had a lot of yards, no picks, no touchdowns, but they just couldn't throw the ball. You know, sometimes that happens. They didn't have OBJ. There's their crush for that game. Great game without your best player, arguably. I think it's Chubb, but could be Baker. Could be Jarvis. All right, Denver 27, New York Giants 13. Daniel Jones fumble problems continue. He's not your guy. They know it. He knows it. He looked up after that fumble like, oh my God. And that's exactly what he should have thought. Melvin Gordon had 11 rushes for 101 yards and a touchdown and a good 70-yarder at the end of the game. Teddy Two Gloves went 28 for 36, 264 and 2 TDs. Bad news of the day, Jerry Jeudy suffers a nasty-looking ankle sprain. They carted him off the field. It definitely looked worse than what it was. But as soon as I saw it, I tweeted immediately that he will be back. And that is genuinely what I believe, especially because they just diagnosed it as a sprain. Miami 17 versus New England 16. Tua, first of all, this game was awesome to watch. This was a great defensive battle. It was basically like watching New England versus New England just because same, you know what I mean? Our coach is their defensive coordinator for many years. Now he's, you know what I mean? Now he's our head coach. But Tua went 16 for 27, 202 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a rush touchdown. You know, good, not great game, but we got the dub, and that's the only stat I care about. Mac Jones went 29 for 39 with 281 yards and a touchdown. So, you know, he's a big-arm quarterback. That's what he's going to do. It's just what he's going to do. New England used the run very well. Miami had trouble stopping the run. We caused 2 fumbles, though, which was awesome. One at the end of the game kind of sealed the win. Miami caused 4. Oh, I apologize. We recovered 2 fumbles. We caused 4 fumbles. So our defense won the turnover battle. Our running backs look good, especially Ahmed. He was everywhere running the ball, catching the ball. He always made plays for us. Good team win. Good team win versus a hated division rival. Chicago 14 versus LA 34. I thought it was going to be a bigger blowout than what it was, but it's still a blowout nonetheless. Matthew Stafford makes the Rams look like a Super Bowl contender. That boy went 20 for 26, 321 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Andy Dalton looked okay at best. Justin Fields definitely gives you a better chance to win games. I don't know what Matt Nagy's doing. I understand that they don't want to play him because if you're not going to win, why would you play him? But he's just a bad man. Justin Fields has an aura around him when he's on the field. Like, people want to play for him. Players want to play for him. Cooper Kupp had a big game. Makes statement for most slept-on receiver in the NFL. I don't think a lot of people know about Cooper Kupp, but I think a lot of people should know about Cooper Kupp. That boy is a dog. He had 7 receptions, 108 yards, and a touchdown. And that was Sunday Night Football. This leads us into tonight's Monday Night Football. Baltimore versus Las Vegas. There is a 4.5-point spread for Vegas to win. A 4-point spread for the Ravens to win. That makes the Ravens the favorite. There's a 50.5-point over-under. I would take the over because I feel like it's going to be a high-scoring game. A lot of over-the-top action going on tonight. A lot of speed on both teams. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the league versus the Raiders. That being said, due to all of the injuries that they've suffered, I do think the Ravens are going to take some time to adjust. They're going to drop this game. But I wouldn't take either spread because I have the Raiders winning a close one, 34-31. And that is all, folks. Thank you to my mom. She is the shit. I love my mama. Thank you to my dad. I love my dad. We're going to help my grandma move in a month. A little over a month. Into Virginia. Thank you to Buddy Buddy is the shit. I have a little bit of a sniffles problem. I got COVID tested. I do not have COVID, but I hope everybody stays awesome. I'm going to dance out even though there's no music, and I'm going to try to let out a woo even though my nose feels funny. Woo!